Hello and good morning. This is Andy McCann, and I'm here to help you lay a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finance. And the question I've got today comes from Thanusha. And actually, many people have asked it, but she texted me directly and said, hey, I just listened to an episode that you sent out, and I have a question on VO2 Max. And the question was, how do I increase VO2 Max with CrossFit and maybe a little bit of cardio? So the real question is, why am I even training VO2 Max? What do I care about that? And I guess, what is it? So I'm going to go through all of that, what you should do, how you can train it, and does it really matter? Actually, you know what? We're going to start right there. So spoiler, yes, it matters, but not as much as people say. So in all the predictors of having a healthy longevity, functional longevity, the thing that you really want to do is to be above average in every single predictor. So I'm going to go through those later on, but it's like strength, your diet, your insulin reception, your VO2 max, your endurance, all that stuff. You don't want to be below average. You just want to be slightly above average, and you have a lot of payoff there. As a matter of fact, the higher you go, you get a lot of diminishing returns. So the data scientists in Thanusha will love this. Yes, it follows the bell-shaped curve and everything. You just want to be a little bit over on the right side of that curve. Maybe, I don't know, like 3 sigma or something. I actually don't know. I forgot what all those sigmas are. It's like the percentile off. But anyway, okay. So yes, I tangent. Dare I tangent? Yes, I do. So what is VO2 max, and why are we going to even look at this? It is important. It's not something that we typically talk about because basically when you do CrossFit, you are going to train VO2 max. All right, let me hit this first. VO2 max is kind of like saying how big is your engine, but maybe not even big. You could say efficient, I suppose. But the bigger the engine, you can go longer, you can recover faster, and you won't get winded when you climb stairs, let's say. So a secret power that I've had my whole life that I didn't know about was recovery. I played many sports. I didn't realize that people didn't feel the same way. As an example, in wrestling, you have 2 minutes of wrestling, 1 minute off, 2 minutes of wrestling, 1 minute off, 2 minutes of wrestling, and then it's over. Unless someone gets pinned, right? So when we do our first 2 minutes, and they would say time or whatever, and you'd stop and go talk to your coach, and I don't know, he would hit you around and tell you to do something better. I would come back going, yep, I feel really damn good. Let's do this thing. I didn't know that everyone else didn't feel that way. They were all sloshing about. So then later on we get into CrossFit and we do something where it involves like it's a chipper, or maybe there's 3 movements, a couplet or a triplet. And when I move on to another element, I get to breathe and I'm like, okay, I'm good. That is a sign of a high VO2 max. The muscles in my body are getting the oxygen it desires, and I'm keeping up with it. Now, you could say, well, you could have gone faster. I suppose that's true. You're always going to get to a point where you outpace yourself. It's like an animal. They took, what was it, a cheetah? Don't let facts confuse this story. So they took a cheetah, put a thermometer in its butt, put it on a treadmill and said, go. And it ran, however they made it run. And when the thermometer reached 103, it stopped, laid down, and just panted. So animals typically aren't going to be a sweaty creature. They don't sweat. The way they regulate their body temperature is they pant off their tongue. So their tongue acts as the cooling system. So it's a heat transfer. If you look at like your air conditioner, it condenses. Why? Because that's part of the process, right? Anyway, it can outpace its ability, and then it has to stop. Your body feels the same way, but we notify it like it's going to be that dead feeling, like I don't want to move around feeling. And I am hesitant to ever get there. One time we did Fran, and I was like, well, we did Fran a lot. Back in the day, it was like the metric that everyone like put up as on a pedestal. Anyway, so we really trained to see if we could get our Fran time, do it all in one go. So it's 21, 15, 9 of thrusters and pull-ups. Can you do it all without stopping? Let's go. So I was like, yeah, I can do this thing. I can do pull-ups. The weight's not heavy. It's 95 pounds. Let's do it. I did a Fran in 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and then I laid on the floor for 2.5 hours. And the next day, driving home from the gym, I passed out while driving. Yeah, super scary. So I will never go down that road again. That's just too dangerous. It's not worth it. Does that train your VO2 max? No, that's exceeding the parameters of the warranty that was put on your body. Don't do that. All right, so the college definition would be something more akin to what I just said there. It's your VO2 max is the maximum oxygen use during hard exercise. So it's how much oxygen your body can intake, transport, and actually utilize per minute inside of your muscles, right? So it is an equation. So Thanusha, the real answer to your question is, if it was, how do I play with this number and make it go up? It's to use the math and to jack around the system. So the math on it, I'll get into it in more detail later on, but it's like the volume of, I think it's volume of oxygen or blood or whatever it is, but it's your volume divided by your body weight divided by time. So because you're dividing by body weight, just lose weight. If everybody lost weight, their VO2 max would go up. Okay. So a problem with this is when your body's burning oxygen, that's your aerobic capacity. Before you get to aerobic, you're going to go through your anaerobic, and meaning not oxygen pathways. What is that? So for the first 10 seconds and 30 seconds, you're going to use your glycogen and phosphagen storages to burn through before really in that 2-minute zone as you transfer into an oxidative state, right? So and there's more than just the three of them, but we typically talk about only those three. So, because they're most predominant. We're greedy. We want all of it. Yes, you need to be able to breathe. There are some of you in the gym that I say, hey, this would go better for you if you took a big breath while you were working out. And they're like, no. I'm like, all right. Or breathe regularly while you're working out. The other side of it is there are things we can do while holding our breath and doing it, like a 1 rep max deadlift. You just lift. You can hold your breath. As a matter of fact, I encourage you, hold your breath, lift, and drop the weight. You don't need to breathe. Yes, you have oxygen in your body. Yes, you're using oxygen, but you're not using it to do that movement. It's those other two stores. So we want to train those two. So would I purposely move off and just do VO2 max training? No, but I don't have a sport-specific reason to do it. I do go out and jog because I do a sport, this adventure racing that requires running and biking. So I need to do those things. Okay, so why do we care? If your VO2 max goes up, then your performance goes up. It's like having a better engine. So it's like, I don't know, you buy any car you want, a Ford F-150, and then you come back later on and you drop a whatever liter engine that's bigger. So V8, I don't know, something, right? So if the engine gets bigger, then well done, right? So the other way to do it is to clean up the system. So if your piping is better, or if the combustible parts were able to combust more gas, then that's good as well. So any way that you increase, I'm just going to call it the whole engine, the better you're going to get. Now, it is true. There are two different components then. One is your heart doing the pumping, and then two, your blood doing the absorbing. I mean, I guess there's another one like, hey, are your veins and arteries, are they clogged? That would be a whole other problem, right? But it lends into this. So on the short side, since I'm here, if you want to train the heart, the pump side of it, then the scientists have said, and I don't have any proof in this is what the scientists have said, you're going to do something like 4 minutes of biking, rowing, or running. And usually it's like running with an incline. It's a little bit more aggressive. And you want to peter out at that 4 minutes. So it's like, it's not maximal, but it's pretty darn close, right? So maybe 80% of max. And you're going to do that 4 times with a 4-minute rest in between. So 4 minutes of work, 4 minutes of rest, repeated four times, giving you, 4 and 4, 16 minutes of effort plus the other rest. So it's a long time. If you want to work on your muscles' ability to uptake that oxygen, that's a little different. And what they have found is if you do 30 seconds of maximal work with 4 minutes of rest, repeated 4 times, that will increase the uptake for your muscle system. So different ways to train it. So I suppose the answer to your question, Thanusha, specifically would be take 1 day a week to do one of those types of training. So I'm going to pause right here. You hear that noise? That is the joyful noise for Levi that said he never has to be the yard work guy again. So for 3 years, my family was the yard people. Then we hired Jason Coltis, who's in the morning at the 6 a.m. class with Huckleberry Landscaping, and they take care of everything. So if you're looking for a good yard person that does landscaping, and they'll take care of it if they design it, then Jason's company is awesome. We've been using them for years, and he's a member. If you know, like, and trust me, extend that to him. I know, like, and trust him. Okay, back into it. So like I was saying, so it has a strong tie, VO2 Max does, into longevity because it's the whole system. It's the capacity. It's your heart, it's the blood, the muscles, the mitochondria, it's all that stuff. All right, I'm going to back up because I forgot to really say this. So VO2 max, what does it actually stand for? It's volume, not velocity, right? So it's basically we're coming up with a flow rate, so volume per time, eventually, anyway. So the next one, the O2 is oxygen. Oxygen is just the chemical bond is O2, like your stomach's hydrochloric acid is HCl, salt is NaCl, oxygen is O2. So V, your volume, O2 max, or O2 is oxygen, and max stands for maximum. So super easy, right? That one's not very hard. There is a specific equation, like I said, it's the volume divided by your weight divided by time. So you can jack around that pretty easy. As a matter of fact, I think it's all in milliliters and kilograms. So us Americans are going to be doing so much math, it's just insane. Okay, so in the math side of it, if you want to hack the numbers, yeah, they're right there blowing right next to my window. I guess I should pause for a minute. They are very thorough. I love it. Okay, so one of the levers is you can increase the pump, so the stroke volume or cardiac outputs, your heart outputs. Your heart goes lob and squeezes the shit out of it, right? So the more it can squeeze. Your heart's a muscle, right? Boom, it squeezes. The more it's going to push blood through the system, right? So basically more blood per beat. That's part of the levers. Another one is to increase the oxygen carrying capacity or the hemoglobin, right? So your red blood cells ability to transport the oxygen around. So there's a pill, what is it, nitric oxide or something like that you can take that actually increases your cell's capacity. So again, you can trick the system out. Is it training it? No, but you can trick it. And as I mentioned already, another lever is to improve the muscle's ability to extract the oxygen. An easy way to do that is to stop smoking, vaping, all that stuff. Give your body its ability. Also, you want to train it to want more. So I'm going to link, hopefully if I remember, link to this mask thing that everyone used to be into. And it reduces the amount of breath you can get because it just puts a screen in front of your face. So technically it's not high altitude training. High altitude allows you to breathe how you want to breathe. It just doesn't have enough oxygen in it. So this retards your ability to actually breathe, which is different, but it still gives you a sort of kind of training like that. So would I use it? Absolutely not. I love breathing. I have a lot of sleep abnormalities, events, as they would say. And so I went to the guy and they're like, yeah, here's a CPAP. You can try it out. And the feeling of asphyxiation was so high, no matter the level of the thing that I put it on, that I couldn't use it. So I just came up with other solutions like taping your mouth shut and all that stuff. So I tried other things. But yeah, so I have a high asphyxiation thing, so I would never do that. Another lever you can do is, again, decrease that denominator. So one of them is your body weight. So if you decrease your weight, then obviously if you divide by a smaller number, so 100 divided by 100 is 1. But if you decrease the denominator to 10, 100 divided by 10 is 10. Miraculously, you are better. So math is beautiful. So this is where something like blood doping comes into play. And it's hard for the police, the health police, the Tour de France police to actually track this stuff. So someone would take their own blood out. Your body is going to make more blood. And then they put their own blood back in later on. I guess they keep it on ice. I don't know how they preserve it, but they do, right? And then they put it back in. So the only thing that really changes is, I guess your blood pressure goes way up because you just have more blood in your body. But now there's more opportunity to lub-dub, right? So you can think about it this way. If you take a hose and it's not full yet and you turn the water on, it takes a while to push the air out and get the water through. If the water's already full, then, I forgot the actual... It's something about fluid flow, and it's like when they would go to Colorado and they have a mine fill up with water, and they're like, hey, we're going to blow the door down and let all the water out. But what they didn't consider is that water is perfect in its ability to transfer that energy. So they would set off dynamite, try to blow up a wall. The impact would go into the water, and then reverberate down and come all the way back and just like destroy wherever they were. So there was a lot of opportunity back then where people were just dumb and dying because they didn't understand science. So anyway, increased amount of blood in your body. I don't know if I would actually do that either. Right now I'm on the kick of giving blood, which is the reverse. So when I give blood, I get worse at what I'm doing. And the reason though is I want my body to make blood. So rather than having dead blood around longer or bad blood around longer, if I take some out, then I'm making more. Does it work? I don't know. I've been trying it for a year. I need to go back to Thrive across the street and do some blood work to see if it's changed anything. Okay, so the question is, how do I train this using CrossFit and low cardio, what I'm already doing? The good answer is we already do this. You don't have to change anything. The better thing would be, like, how do I know, Andy? Well, then you need to start tracking stuff. So I've got the heart rate monitor you want to probably wear, like a Polar heart rate monitor. It's got 25,000 reviews on Amazon, so go buy that. You can get this Zacurate 500C Elite Finger Grip Pulsometer blood oxygen saturation monitor, right? So the bad thing about these is you can't really use it while working out. I guess if you're on the bike, you could do that. But anyway, it's a little bit tough to use. Like I said, I already had that mask listed out for you, so you can go check that one out too. But high intensity intervals is what we do, and that's basically what VO2 Max is asking you to train. I suppose you could just take a workout, any workout, and be like, hey, coach, today I'm VO2 maxing it. And take anything we do and go for 4 minutes and then rest for 4 minutes and just take whatever that is, 40-something minutes of working out. Or do the other way and say, hey, I'm going to work out for 30 seconds as hard as I effing can and then rest for 4 minutes. You could do that at the gym once a week, and the coaches would be like, sure, whatever. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. But the problem is, it's just boring, and it's not going to move the needle all that much because we're already doing stuff. Once you get above average, actually, I should see if I can find that. There's a guy that I like to watch on YouTube, and he does this nerdy stuff, and he's like, hey, here's the science behind it. And he was showing the diagrams of the life expectancy and such of somebody with poor VO2 max, and then average, and then above average, and then elite. The difference between elite and above average was so minuscule, it's not worth the squeeze to get the juice out. It really was just be above average and you are hot damn good to go, right? So they're not going to point this one out, but I will. If part of the VO2 max is the uptake of muscle or of oxygen by your muscle, then I want to use more muscle. So I think one of the worst things you could do is get on a bike and just let your legs go to town, because that's only one grouping. I think the thing that CrossFit is going to elevate above all other training is we are very mixed modal. So it could be your arms, it can be both your arms and your legs. I mean, it's everything. It's never just do some bicep curls. So with all that demand from your body, the request of oxygen is going to go way up, thus kicking the system into a higher gear and training it to say, oh, you want more. So I guess I should say this. The reason you're training it is your body is the ultimate adaptation machine. If I sit at this computer desk right here in my desk in this format where I'm in a chair, my hands are out, my body's going to adapt to that. If the hardest thing I do all day is just go up the steps to go to bed, my body will adapt to that. Your body wants to adapt to survive, not necessarily thrive. That's why we push it a bit so that we can push it into thrive. So if my heart is beating more efficiently, then hell yeah, I'm going to have a better time with it, right? So I want to train and push into these things so that my body will strive to that direction. Okay. So you're going to hear a lot about zone 2 training. Yeah, I suppose. Here's the problem with all of this. It's not really science. I suppose it depends on how you define science, right? And it's just dumb. Like if you look at the scientific method and proofs and postulates and all that stuff, science is very, very different than what people think. Most people are like, oh, well, science said it, therefore it is. No. Science will describe it, therefore we think it is. So something like, let me think of a law. Well, let me pull up the scientific laws. Okay, so even in this, I love it. So the scientific law is just a descriptive statement. Scientific theory is an explanatory framework. So nothing is saying that it actually is. For example, F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration. Yes, that is true. If I take a mass and accelerate it, I can calculate a force on large scale. But weirdly, when you get way down into the tiny stuff, it doesn't work. When you get way down, they're like, okay, now it's not F equals ma. You have strong force, weak force, gravity, and electromagnetism. I think those are the 4 forces, right? And so they're like, we got to describe it all with that. F no longer equals ma. Another equivalent one, and this was baffling to me and mind-blowing as an engineer when I realized that F equals ma is the same thing as V equals IR. It's just in a different field. It's, yeah, for all you engineers and nerds, think on that one, man. So V equals IR is voltage equals current times resistance. So current is your acceleration, R is your mass, so it's kind of flipped, so it's F equals AM, but that's what it is, right? And then your voltage is your force, right? So these laws and theories and so forth, it's just people trying to come up with a reasonable explanation or to describe what they see. They don't really know. So VO2 max is just an equation, and they're like, hey, we think this really works. And then later on, they're like, well, shit, I don't think it does. And that's okay. That is science. We don't really know. So the whole stupid thing in the past, like in 2020, follow the science, that's a bunch of dumbasses because science, it doesn't work that way. Most people, so my kids are finding this out as I go to college. They're like, Dad, most of my friends are idiots. I'm like, I know, but that's most of the world on the things that you're interested in. So I know that I am a blathering idiot when it comes to emotions. So I look for the advice of a wise counselor. So I'll ask like Jamie Thomas, hey, here's what I said and what I heard. Is that right? She says, no, that's fine. You're okay. But I get it. When it comes to technological stuff, I'm in. When it comes to the matter of humans, I'm out. And I'm a big idiot when it comes to those things. So nobody's perfect at all these things. But I say that to tell you, it's a measurement that allows them to gauge. Would I chase it down over everything? No. Is it something neat to look at? Yes. But I would look at practical output first. And this is why we measure stuff in the gym. This is why we ask you to log stuff. I say that knowing that today I didn't log anything because I was with the new member, Nyla, and I was just talking, and Lauren, and I just walked out of the gym without logging anything. And that's okay. It's nice to have the measurements, but really it's the effect of it. I am 52. If we had a kickball tournament of normal people, I wouldn't be the last guy picked. So that's pretty cool, right? In the gym, I might be the last guy picked because there's a lot of fit people in the gym. We are an abnormal pooling of people because we're working towards fitness. Even, this is crazy, you'll get somebody in the gym that's like, hey, I've been here for a year and I don't know, like I can see the numbers, they are changing, but I'm not sure I feel like I'm getting fitter as fast as I should. And then they'll bring a friend in who does stuff and they're like, holy crap, my friend sucked an egg on that one. What's up? I'm like, yeah, you don't see it because everyone around us is pretty fit. And we're moving in that direction. So you take a brand new person and you totally see it, or a friend that you thought was fit. Okay, so one of the failings that then CrossFit would have is in that zone 2, we don't do very long, low-intensity things. I try to put that in there. As a matter of fact, there is a workout coming. I think it's on a Thursday coming up. Is it Thursday? I think. And this is why I hate inserting my own stuff into the programming. So we did a go for a 5K or a 10K thing, and I loved it. Not many people skipped it. Well done. And usually CrossFit does not slide that in there anywhere, but they did. So they have a Thursday where it's like spend 30 minutes on any machine that you want. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. They're not going to love the fact that it came up so fast again. So it's under a month. So what I did is I changed that one. I said, we've got a workout where it's go run and then lift some stones. And I know you guys, hey, lift a stone? Hell yeah, I'm into that. So it's going to be spend some time on a machine or running, and then every so often go out and do 5 stone lifts. So we've done this workout before, but now I'm just doubling it. So it's a 32-minute workout now. And so we're going to do that. So I'll hide some low-intensity work with some stones because I know you guys will let me do that. Okay, moving on. So if I was to train this specifically using CrossFit, I wouldn't do anything different. If I wanted to add something in or edit something, it would be one day a week. One day a week, I would do one of these 3 things. One would be a longer session that I could go in a conversational pace in biking, rowing, jogging, rucking, whatever, right? So a zone 2. So I would just go out for 60 minutes and do some sort of jog. And I would measure that because you know me, I always want to measure it. But the idea is it's conversational, so it's zone 2. We would freak out about that. I'd probably take a Saturday or Sunday and just put it on that day. I would also rotate that with, take that day and change it into a session of like that, like 20 minutes of it's uncomfortable but controlled. So I'm panting. I'm not really wanting to talk, but I'm pushing. So it's a longer, like 20 minutes, but uncomfortable. And so when you get done with it, you're like, screw that. I don't really ever want to do that again. It's that type. Not all out, but like pretty uncomfortable. And then again, rotate in there that session where you do the 4 minutes of work, 4 minutes of rest, and you repeat that over and over and over. So I guess I would pick one more because you know me, I want to make it symmetric. So usually 4 weeks in a month. So maybe I'd pick one more type, doing the 30-second rotation as well. That's what I would do. I would probably put it on a day that wasn't CrossFit, or I would mix and mingle it on a place that looked super convenient. Like, oh, it's a biking thing. I'm just going to do my thing now. Though we already trained this, so I wouldn't do any. So Thanusha, the answer is I wouldn't do anything different. We're already training it, and we're going to be above average. Probably the biggest thing for all of you guys is I would hire Josiah or Jennifer or Matt to help me with nutrition so I could dial that in, because that's typically the place that everyone wants to neglect, but you'd get the most bang for the buck. So I would go there for everybody. I would just say, hey, teach me how to eat properly. Now, you know what I do. I'm doing carnivore. I would tell everyone to do this and don't do this. It's so weird and different, yet I have seen with my own eyes the effects that it had on Evan, and I could see it in myself. So I'm living proof that it works. Would it work for you? I don't know. Everybody's body is different, but I love it. Okay, so I got a few more things. This one is, should I chase the number? So for longevity, no. For performance in the gym, yes, but I would like to know it and then maybe test it later on. Although, I could know it and I just don't care. It's a number that scientists can get a hold of to measure, to see if things are moving the needle. But they typically are measuring fit people, so it's harder to see the degree of change. Now, give me, my favorite thing was to always be a coach of a team that sucked, right? So same thing in the gym here. I love it when members walk in or new people walk in and they're like, I haven't done anything in 10 years. I'm like, perfect. Because on a team that hasn't done anything well, or a person that hasn't done anything, no matter what I do, it's going to work. It literally, if they follow the advice of rule number 1 is show up. Rule number 2 is don't do anything stupid today to prevent you from showing up tomorrow, right? If they follow that and they half-ass it, it's going to work. It's marvelous. Now, if they come in super fit, it's a little bit harder because they're like, well, wait a minute. I don't feel as tired as normal. I know, but you'll feel it tomorrow. And so there's a lot of like trust in like, I don't feel like I worked out sometimes. Like I know sometimes it doesn't, but wait till tomorrow. So those people have a hard time coming in slow. Not saying I wouldn't take fit people, but fit people are harder to work with because they feel like they know too much. Okay, so there is a law of diminishing returns in any of this. Having an awesome VO2 max is not better than, it doesn't move the needle as much as just having an above average one. So I would go for that. As I promised, there are some predictors of functional long life. What are those? VO2 max is one of them. Strength is another one, and CrossFit gives you strength slowly, but it does. Muscle mass, right? So we want lean muscle mass, not like the hypertrophy muscle. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not a predictor. So not the size of it, but the mass versus the rest of your body. The power output that you can do. So your explosiveness, your balance and coordination. And weirdly, this one isn't really the movement side of it, but it's your metabolic health. It's your insulin A1C and your waistline, right? So it's that basically don't eat like a death row inmate. So longevity isn't just one number. It's kind of a portfolio of numbers. And that's really what CrossFit is doing, is hammering into these, using the hack of intensity to get both strength and endurance and all the crap in between. And that's how it moves it, okay? All right, some more things that I wanted to tell you about. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you this. It's the values that you're looking at. So a VO2 max of 30 says you're at high health risk. So that's not good. So 30 and down is not good. So I think the average for a male is probably like 40. So that's like going on the average side of it. CrossFitters are typically 50 to 65, somewhere in that range every time they measure. Usually what they do is they take the semifinalists in the open, because it's a large pool of people, and they say, hey, let's measure some things. And they're finding that, hey, in general, CrossFitters reside around that 60 volumetric number. And so we're way above average, and that's great. Now, in the elite ones would be in 90 plus. And you're going to find that usually in like a cyclist or long distance person, because they're training specifically like a one thing in the hills and all that. So anyway, the nice thing is CrossFit is going to give you that level up. So I'm above average. And that's where most of the health adaptations are taking place, when I'm above average. Now, weirdly, the average for America keeps falling. So I'm not always a fan of comparing myself to the average. So there is the opportunity to do measurements without all the fancy gear. If you really want me to, you guys, if you're listening to this, if enough of you email me or text me back from the gym and say, hey, let's give it a shot. There's something called the Cooper 12-minute run test. There's a 1.5-mile run test. There's a row test. There's an assault bike test, which I'm assuming we could migrate over to the Rogue Echo bike. So there are things we could do. We would need some measurement devices like heart rate monitors and all that, but we could do a thing. No, as you can tell, I'm not very excited. I am hard put on the details. So okay, let me give you one. I love the dashboard of key performance indicators. I love chasing the numbers. So I try hard not to chase the numbers because I love it. So there was a number. It was, what do they call it in the gym? So there's two things that they're going to measure. It's in all businesses, but in the gym, there's two brain mentoring guys that I follow. Because it's fitness, they call it arm and leg. So arm is average revenue per member. Leg is length of engagement. I know, like, wow, that's funny. They made that up. That's right. So arm, average revenue per member. If you chase the number for number's sake, again, you drop it all the way back to, I have one member. That member is paying $175. So my average revenue per member is $175. Perfect. I add in 10 people. Okay. What if somebody took the month off because, I don't know, they went to they went on vacation? Well, they're a member, they didn't pay, so it's going to drop the number. But there's a reasonable reason why. They went on vacation, right? Or they were pregnant and they went on maternity leave or whatever, right? So chasing the number for the sake of the number is bad. And I've been trapped in this before, where I just said, like, the mentor would say, do this. And you're like, all right, let's hammer that number. So length of engagement. The system is going to measure everybody in the system to say they were engaged or not engaged, right? So I messed the system up, as I have been in the system for over 18 or whatever we started using this thing, right? I'm not a member, but I jack my own numbers up artificially. So I don't like that. Should I take myself out? No, I would rather be consistent than accurate. So I know we're off because I exist, right? And I don't pay anything, and I've been here for a while. So I mess up the numbers, but I know that the numbers are accurate. Sorry, not accurate, consistent. They're consistently off. So I know when I shoot, it aims to the right every time. I'm like, perfect. I know that. So I know the new number to look for. So I don't just chase the number for number's sake. So VO2 Max can be similar to that. People can chase these things, and they do. Like, there was a big thing for a while, like, I need to chase my zone 2 heart stuff. That's just dumb. It's not what fitness is really about. It's not, is your heart in the zone? The best hack to health and fitness I have ever found is just show up and do CrossFit. It freaking works. So does this matter? Yes. Is it a good question? Absolutely. The powers that be hype it up so much that it creates too much noise and not enough signal for what we're doing. The signal is show up and don't hurt yourself, right? Show up and be smart. Show up and listen to the coach. Show up and listen to your body. Show up. You don't have to really chase any of these things. You're going to get it by the nature of what we do. So it's like a lot of the other things you guys ask. It's a good question. The answer is usually it depends, and no, it probably is not as important as we think. So really good question, especially coming from data scientists. Like, hey, it's a data point. It's a number. Should I really care? You can if you want to, but it's okay. We're going to get there. Okay, I'm going to pause you guys and look through my notes and see what else I want to say, if there's any good tidbits. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I looked this one up. And so there's, again, that guy that I like to follow. He's a CrossFitter, but he's also a doctor or something of physiology. Anyway, so classic VO2 metric training or VO2 max training that none of y'all are going to want to do. He's like, yes, you could do Fran a lot. So, right, Fran, right? Assault or echo bike sprints. That's a good one. Actually, I would encourage that one because I like sprinting on the rower or sprinting on the bike because the opportunity to injure yourself is so low. One of the most injurious workouts we have ever done throughout history for all gyms is the 10 100-meter sprints. Somebody inevitably pulls a hamstring or rips something or whatever. So weirdly, sprinting messes you up, but sprinting on your feet, but sprinting, well, I guess you're always using your feet. You know what I'm saying? Jog sprinting, run sprinting, whatever, messes you up. But sprinting on a bike or on a rower, it's hard to engage in that way to actually pop something. So I do love sprint work on the bike. So I would probably add that. As actually a matter of fact, we have a couple days in there where we're going to do like obtain the highest level of cadence on the bike that you could possibly get. Just because it's cool. You're going to find, like, you think, oh, I can really crush this. No, when you see Matt and Josh and probably Josiah, man, there's a couple others I'm just going to not think of right there. When you see their maximal number compared to yours, you're going to be like, oh, damn, that's crazy big. And it is. They can really jam that. My best I think I've ever gotten is like in the high 70s where like I know Matt Janda, he's just on a relaxing day pushing high 70s or low 70s, right? It's just not a big deal to him. He can crush that thing. So same thing with row repeats or doing like burpee pull-ups. So it's just high oxygen demanding workouts that you can continue to move through. Which weirdly would also like move you into potentially rhabdoing yourself. So rhabdomyolysis or something like that. Rhabdo short is what they call it. Rhabdo is where you break down your muscles so much that your muscles are bleeding and your body can't absorb all of that blood. So when your muscles grow, it's because you tore them down and then they grow back. So we want to do that. But rhabdo would be doing too much of it. So just like anything, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. This was an interesting one that I have found as well. So the levers I was talking about you can pull. So if you remember Michael Phelps, they're like, hey, he swims really well because this is body design. And I think similarly with Lance Armstrong, the heart is larger than most people's. Thus, it's doing a bigger, better job. So stroke rate or that stroke volume, which is kind of like heart size or heart ability, is probably the first lever that you'd want to increase. So we can't change the size of our hearts, so you're genetically one way or another, but we can teach it to pump stronger, right? Mitochondria, I can't even say it. Mitochondria density, which again, it's hard to like train something like that, but the things we do train it, right? Capillary density. So this is an interesting one. The more your muscles request oxygen, the more you'll actually grow new capillary systems to affect that. Your hemoglobin levels, that's your blood oxygen, right? So you can increase that. That's like the whole doping thing. Don't do that, but that's, something. Change your body weight and then your lung capacity. Obviously, the easiest thing on the lung capacity is don't do things to decrease your lung capacity. So if you're smoking or vaping or whatever, don't do that sort of stuff because you're just shooting yourself in the foot or shooting yourself in the lungs, I guess. So the other reason I was talking about like why I wouldn't just chase this is everything is a give and a take. So if I was going to take a day and train this specifically, that means I'm taking away from something else. And what am I missing? So CrossFitters are greedy. We want it all. I want to be strong. Yes. I want to be endurance-y. Yes. I want to have muscle stamina. Yes. I want it all. And CrossFit aims you to everything, which is why we progress slower than normal. Like if I just did hypertrophy, yes, I would lift more. But you're giving stuff up. Hypertrophy is the standard back by, chest and try, legs, right? So Monday, back and by, Tuesday, chest and try, Wednesday's leg, or push, pull, or whatever, right? And you superset things. So we're greedy. We don't want to give up anything. We want to get it all. So yeah, we want cardio as well. We want all of it. So yeah, we don't want to trade it off. This is why I typically lean away when someone says, hey, can we do more strength training? Yes, you can. You can totally do it. You can come early. You can stay late. We have the backdoor access. You can come in anytime you want. Do it. But here's the thing, not everybody wants to lift more, so I can't make the class do it. What I can do is say, we are CrossFit, we do CrossFit. CrossFit is functional movements executed at high intensity, right? CrossFit's idea of work capacity is it's an increased work capacity across different modal domains and times, right? So I'm increasing my output over different times and different movements. That's fitness, right? So we do that. What does that mean? Constant varied functional movements executed at high intensity sometimes, right? That's what we do. We don't focus on one. We don't just have a thing. I want to be more stretchy. Andy, could we stretch more? Yes, you can stretch more. Come early, stay late, use the back door, whatever. You can totally do it more. So if you have a thing that you want, do it. I just am not going to force everyone else to go down your path, right? And I get a lot of pushback on those things because people get like, well, Andy, isn't everybody interested in, I don't know, whatever, competitions? No, not really. I think there's only like 3 of you that really care about it. I care about it because it's super fun, but not everybody else does. So I'm like, we can't go down that road. We just, and it doesn't push the needle that much, right? But if it would make you work out, then I'm in. But you can do whatever you want, right? So it's just that trade-off. What do I want to give up to get this? I know for a fact when I take my 1 day a week of jogging or biking, I'm giving up on something else. But I'm okay with that because the sport that I've chosen demands footwork and bike work. And so I need to put that time in. I need to have the trade-off. Okay, I think I'm going to end it here. So the sweet spot for CrossFit, the methodology, not CrossFit the business. CrossFit the business is weird and messed up. I disagree with many of the things they're trying to do, but whatever. The methodology that Greg Glassman outlined, it makes sense. And I really like his idea of the broken science. It's a new project that he's doing, or Fix, the metabolic fix. So it's your body's ability to move foods and energies into productive output. I like that idea. So anyway, CrossFit's sweet spot is it's broad work capacity, right? So we can do almost anything. We'll probably never be the best at anything, but we're always going to be in the top 10%, especially when it comes to normal humans. We're multi-domain fitness, meaning if you say get on a bike, we can do that. Get on a rower. Yes, we can do that. Lift some weights. Yes, we can do that. Do some pull-ups. Yes, we can do that, right? So we're just multi-domain. We do a lot of things, which means we're kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. So we just Coach David did a snatch clinic, and we were playing D&D, and he said to, dang it, who was it? Maybe Randy? He's like, or Randy said, hey, it really helped to find and feel where I could sweep off my thighs to then bump the bar up. Yes. So David showed him and taught him, and Randy listened and did. Does it matter? No. In a workout, he does not need to sweep off his legs. He just needs to get the bar from the floor to the ceiling. We're CrossFitters. It's efficiency. Let's just go to town. Now, if he's doing a heavier load than he feels like he could, then popping off the legs is super awesome and effective. So does he need to? Only when he needs to, right? So it's a good tool to have in your bag. So we did a workout the other day. It was burpee and something. It was burpee and, push press. It was dumbbell push press. And I told the guys, I was like, look, one of the reasons I moved to the top in several of the workouts we do, not ultimate, but I'm in the top I can be, right? Is because I have a lot of tools in the tool bag for doing whatever the movement is. So in this case, burpees. I was like, I tell myself, that's more psychology. I love burpees. So I do, right? I say it over and over for 20 years. But the bigger thing is, I have like 10 different ways to do burpees to keep me doing burpees. So weirdly in a workout, if you can find a place where you're just not stopping, you do better. That's weird, right? So if you can get through the workout faster and say, done, then your time is better than if you paused a lot and had to rest. So by having more burpees in there, so I coached like the 5 o'clock class or something. I was like, I'm going to take you through various burpees. And so they're like, Andy, I don't know. These don't feel different. I'm like, they are different, but you visually aren't doing anything different because you're not doing it right. Now, I say right. You're not doing what I'm requesting. And it's okay. They don't feel it. They're not tired. But when you get tired, you're going to be like, I wonder if there's another way to do this. And the answer is yes. And so that's it. This multi-domain, the ability to do many things and to keep moving with that fitness is great, right? And then, of course, I love the real-world readiness. I can literally go out and do any sport at any time and be pretty good at whatever it is. Again, like the whole kickball thing. I'm not going to be picked last, even though I'm a 52-year-old man. That's kind of nice, right? Does it mean much? Not really, but whatever. So CrossFit's going to produce an above average VO2 max, which is what we want. It's going to produce a above average strength, which is what we want. Produce an above average power output, above average joint durability, above average muscle retention, above average skill acquisition. Yeah, so that's it. We're just moving everything up to above average. And that really is what's going to move you into that functional longevity. Okay, I'm going to end right there. If you guys have questions and you'd like me to cover something for you, please just send me a text or an email and I'm happy to do that. Andy@CrossFitGarage.com, or if you're in the gym, you got my cell phone number. It's all over the website. Just hit me and I will totally give you, well, I tell you what, I'll give you my answer. It may not be the answer you want, but I'll give you my answer. All right, guys, y'all take care. If you're here in Woodstock, come see us at CrossFit Garage here in Woodstock, just across the street from Black Rifle Coffee, and we're doing lots of fun things. We've got the Open coming up. We've got different clinics coming up. We've got actually, by the time this podcast comes out, I think the rowing event will be past. And then what do we have after that? I don't know. Oh, we've got the endurance class that Josh will be doing. I think that's March 1st. So, all right, y'all take care.